there's this angst in the air. There's this tension, nervousness, but excitement as well. Do you remember big games for you in your career, how you felt going into those ones?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, literally, there are games where I was in the bathroom, literally, praying to the porcelain god, just because it's and I also remember one game earlier in my career. We're playing the Edmonton Oilers in 1990, and we're up against the wall in elimination. And of course, that's one of Messier's one of his probably think one of his best performances ever in the Stanley Cup when they won the cup with Edmonton in 1990. But I remember being in the locker room, in our own locker room. We're home, and I'm literally 20 years old, my second full year in the league, and I was having so much fun playing. I loved playoff hockey. I was having so much fun being a professional, and I remember going into our dressing room where we changed, and I was sitting in my stall amongst all of my clothes and everybody's clothes, and I was just hiding, and I was literally crying. I was so afraid of losing that I wanted to play. I wanted to keep playing, and the fact of having the season possibly end really drove me to tears, and I had to go into the other room, not wanting to cry in the locker room. But it was just one of those just passionate loves for a game, but especially for the playoff mentality, what it was like in playoffs in Chicago back then, and watching Messier put on a performance that night, scoring 3 goals against us and knocking us out of the playoffs. Obviously, my fears came to fruition, but I mean, I got to experience some of the most unbelievable playoff performances and feelings of all time. I could still see it like it was yesterday.
No shortage of intensity this time of year for sure. Obviously, Game 4 wasn't the best game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I thought it was kind of a masterclass in playoff hockey from the Florida Panthers. What do you see in that Game 4, and what do you think the Leafs can do to try to change that narrative in Game 5?
I think one thing that the Leafs have not been able to do over the last 20 years is rise to an occasion. We've seen the things happen in Game 7s over the last 5 years. Obviously, most notoriously to Boston, and what has happened with their lack of being able to put a series away, and especially in Game 7s. It's rising to the moment, knowing how big a game is. And this is what Florida Panthers have been able to do over the last 2 years. Obviously, they went to the Cup a few years back, and they played a brand of hockey. I thought that, Matthew Tkachuk's mentality, they were very aggressive. I think at times it was overly aggressive, and they were not. They didn't play playoff hockey the right way, and to be patient, but also have that snarl and to be, stay out of the penalty box. Whereas last year they did. They played between the whistles. They played hard between the whistles. They made sure that they played a 20-man team mentality. It's not just one line; it was every line. I was having a conversation this morning with my boys from After the Whistle in Buffalo, and we were marveling at how Sasha Barkov has been one of the more physical players for Florida, and that's not his game. He's not a physical game, but he finishes every single check. He takes every hit that he needs to make a play, and obviously he's been targeted. But the Toronto Maple Leafs have to know the situation and have to rise and have to have a game that rises to the situation. Florida did it. They got a big win in Game 3, which gave them life, and in Game 4, they literally came out and played at a level, physically intense, an intense mentality, in your face mentality, but still disciplined enough to where they did everything correct. And they started at 7 o'clock when you're supposed to, and they took it all the way. And that's one thing that Toronto has to do. They have to show up on time, and they have to bring, because you're not going to beat the Florida Panthers if you do not have your best game as a team. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have not been able to do that, at least consistently. But until they find a way to do that, this is going to be a hard series for them. They're up against a really confident, a very poised and experienced team in Florida. It's going to be an interesting test for them.
How much stock do you put in home ice advantage for the rest of the series?
I used to a lot. I used to like it a lot more. I think nowadays it doesn't mean as much. It's almost like these kids like playing on the road more. It seems like there's less pressure on them playing on the road, where they don't have to impress anybody. They just go in, they just play. They can be spoilers. They don't care what the fans there think. They play a more I think a more intensive, loose style of game, and you can see more wins on the road that I've probably seen in a long time over the last couple of years. Yes, you do have the matchups. The coaches have the last change, which is it can be big, but everybody's so good these days, right? The offensive players are so talented. The defensive players are so talented. I just think it's the pressure. It's the pressure at home playing in front of your own fans. I think a lot of these kids today probably don't like as much as they do just going into somebody else's barn and just playing, not worrying about what about the surroundings. I don't think it matters that much anymore.
And obviously a huge night for the likes of Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. Those are the stars of the team that they rely on to get over the hump. After watching game 4, what do you think those two in particular need to do to find more success against this Panther team?
I've been seeing a lot of Austin Matthew negative comments in social media. People calling 911, saying for missing persons report. I get it. Austin, no question, has the most pressure on him on that team. Obviously because of his salary, his goal scoring ability, what he's done. But Austin Matthews plays a 200-foot game. He doesn't play a one-way style game. He's not just a goal scorer. He kills penalties. He's on the power play. He's got a lot of pressure on him. For him, it's the determination to get to those high scoring areas and not be denied. When you start playing on the outside a little bit because you're thinking about too many things, or the pressure is mounting, you just got to get back to the basics. And I was always told by Mike Keenan and Daryl Sutter, play within dots. That's where Austin Matthews is really dangerous. When he starts trying to be too cute and try to do too much and starts pressing, that's going to be the first key to not being successful and not scoring goals. So he's just got to get back to the basics again, not really worry about it. We know Austin Matthews can score goals, and if they lose this series, who's going to be the one guy that they're going to point to. I think Marner has played very well. Obviously, this team is a different mentality team. I think Craig Berube has really put in a different look into this team. It's literally going to come down to effort. It's going to come down to the basics and who wants it more. And both teams are very talented, but Austin's got a lot of pressure. Just get to those high scoring areas, man. That's what he's got to do. He's got to get into the fray, because if he's outside those dots, Austin Matthews is not going to be successful.
How impressed you've been with Matthew Knies, man? Just every day, we just love this guy.
Awesome. He's the prototypical, complete player. If that's the way the best way I can say it. To watch him skate it's just one of the most beautiful things to watch. He's fast. He's aggressive. He's got snarl. He's got touch. He's got hockey IQ. What an amazing kind of emergence of a player that Knies has become. He's going to be a superstar. If he's not already a star right now, he is. You kind of look at the way Sam Bennett has emerged. Reinhart. He's kind of like the Sam Bennett Reinhart all put into one, right? That is going to score a lot of goals in this league. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's been impressive.
Mm-hmm. Last one for me, JR. You've been a part of a lot of hockey games, a lot of series. What's your prediction in this one? Who takes round 2? For some reason, I always want Toronto to win, because they have such a great fan base, and they're such an iconic team for the league, and it would be about time for them to move on and have a chance to play for the cup.
Not to say that I'm rooting for them, but it would be nice to see them win. I just think that they're up against a team that has so much more playoff grit and is more full throughout the lineup. And I think the goaltending is better in Florida. I think tonight's going to be a very difficult game for them. Tonight will dictate, I think, who wins this series for sure.
JR, if you're in that Leafs room, what's the messaging from the leadership core sound like?
This has to be our best game, without question. We're at home. We cannot afford to lose a game at home. This is why we have home ice advantage. We know going back down to Florida, it's going to be tough. It's warm, tougher ice. You know, we're playing against the defending Stanley Cup champions. They got to leave everything on tonight. I hate do or die games, right? It's not do or die, or this is the biggest game, but I think tonight's game will dictate who wins this series, who wins tonight, and they have to. Don't worry about all the stupid stuff. Don't worry about the Matthew Tkachuk's yelling at you. Don't worry about getting back at anybody, because they're gonna try to goat people in. They're gonna try to go after Max. They're gonna try to go after Marner. They're gonna try to go after Nylander. They're gonna try to. You guys got to just play the game. Play the game as hard. Play it between the whistles, and this again, it's not do or die, but this is pretty as close to it as I think against the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Pretty damn close for sure. We're Jack ready.
And by the way, this is an opportunity for them to change their mentality and reputation. There's no question about it, because let's not beat around the bush. For the last 20 years, they've been known as chokers, right? They won the first two games against Florida. They battled. They were unfortunate they didn't win Game 3, and then they got out poised in Game 4. So now we're going to see what real team in the second round is going to show up for Toronto, and can they take that next step? Because there's no better test to show that answer than tonight.
I know it's cliche, but I am calling these legacy-defying games, not just 5, but 6, 7. They can change how we remember these guys, right?
100%, no question. And a lot of these guys will be, especially if they win tonight and go on to win this series. These are career-defining moments that when you look back and say, yeah, he was dependable. We can always look for him to get the job done. I've been so impressed watching Tavares play so far this season. That for him to continue to play at the level that he's playing, be a point producer, he's got to drag everybody else into the fight, right? Nylander's been the most consistent playoff performer over the last 4 years for this team. It's time they all bring it all together in one game for tonight, because I don't like their chances if they lose at home tonight. And this team plays very well on the road. Florida Panthers do. They love being spoilers. And don't be afraid to play a low scoring game. Don't want to get into a track meet. You just want to be patient. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think this is the best series in the playoffs today.
Oh, it's awesome. And to your point, this is what they've been building towards all season long under Craig Berube. So we'll see what happens tonight. JR, thank you so much for your time today.
All right, you guys are great. Talk to you later.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.